Okay, we're here. Hi, everybody. Welcome. We are live again. It's been a few weeks. I think the last time that I was recorded was mid-May. I think it was like May 18th, something like that. But there was a couple of things that happened. My stepdaughter was in town. She actually had her high school graduation, and also had my wedding anniversary. So it's been a busy couple of weeks. My son just finished getting out of school too, so it's been just a lot going on. But we are back and we're here today. So I'm gonna switch our view. Let's see if I can get this. Let me switch. Here we go. Hopefully I can get a nice view for you guys that's not blurred. I have to try and play around with it a little bit just to get it just right. Let's see. I feel like that's a little bit blurry too. I have to keep like checking on the computer screen to see. That's super blurry, no. There. I had to like, that feels like it's not any better than where we started from though. Is it? It's not, maybe like more light or something. Let's see. It's probably the best that I'm gonna get it at right now, so hopefully that's fairly decent for you guys. Oh, I'm playing a movie. It's not the latest Disney, but one of the more recent ones, the Raya and the Last Dragon. It reminds me a lot of Moana. It feels a little bit too similar to Moana to me, which is kind of, I mean, I did love Moana, but I don't like the fact that this one, it feels overly similar to it, you know? It's just like, we already had one Moana, we don't need two. It's just my opinion. I know there's some fans. I work close to the Disney store, so I get to see all of the little girls who come out with their Raya dolls and stuff, so I'm certainly not hating, but I just wasn't terribly impressed by the movie. Beautiful artwork though, as usual. As usual, I have not seen Cruella, and I have no intentions to see it, even after, or if they kind of take off that hold that they put on movies, you know, when now I guess that they're all new releases, they have that, you know, premiere access thing that they do. Even after that's lifted, I don't know, I was just overly disappointed with Maleficent, that I just don't think that I'm gonna watch any more Disney villain movies. My heart was broken after Maleficent, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. Do need to get some more watercolors, so that's what I'm doing right now. I'm filling up my watercolors. Even though we're in the inking stage now, I still kind of want to be able to have my watercolors because I'm going to be refilling certain areas. I did go ahead and get all of my brushes ready. So as you can see, I have my whole jamboree of brushes, and I like to put these little tapes on the end. It helps me to quickly assess which brush it is. The blue tape is older ones, so I know which ones are my older ones, and I definitely put like the size. The GR is like the graphic brush, BR is the brush, and the rest of them are microns, and I have their sizes. So that is a little tip to make it a little bit easier for you whenever you are doing your inking process. I'm gonna start out, I think, fairly small. I think I was in this stage last time we were here. I'm pretty sure we were doing inking. I feel like I need to sneeze, but I feel like I feel a sneeze coming on. I might be flipping my... I don't know why I started with the most important part, the eyes, but I should have started with something else just to give myself room to mess up, because I'm sure I will. See why I have to jinx myself like that? And there's a couple of things I wanted to talk to you guys about today. I wonder if I should start with an 05. Maybe I'll go in with the 05. No, 05 is bigger. I mean 005. I think 005 might be too small. So, anyway, this one should be fine. I'll just stick with it. I have had an interesting couple weeks. As I mentioned a moment ago, I was kind of wondering if I should just like pre-record and then just like voice over it, but I don't know, I'm so used to doing the live stream that I don't know if it'll be helpful or not for me to do it that way. I'm not entirely sure. But I do have this other cool thing that I wanted to share with you guys. I have this white pen, which I bought for highlights and is really good for highlights. It's 1.0, but it also works really nice. It's like a little whiteout for when I make a mistake. I can just use this, and I'll show you because I'm sure that I will make mistakes. But it actually comes really in handy for that sort of thing. And I will show you when we get to that, which I probably will need on her eye already. She has a mole there. I think I'll fill it in with like... Let me see. Show you guys. You see, it kind of works as a... doubles as a whiteout. I'll have to, I think, fix her eye, because I haven't done my inking actually in a while. Well, I did it last week, but I didn't reach my quota for the week last week. I worked on it all day Monday, and then the rest of the week, which is odd because that was like the holiday of the week, that was Memorial Day. And I worked on it all day that day, but I don't think no, I didn't work on it at all after that. So here I am back at it. Hopefully this week will be more productive than last week was. But I did get some important things done last week. I was doing like a gaming fast, which is interesting because I haven't really gamed a lot at all since I really started getting serious about my career. So since I want to say since I was like 30 years old, which was a few years ago, I haven't really played a whole lot of video games. But I don't know if I'm like procrastinating now that I'm so close to the end and I've reached like this almost there, and I've been so many changes in the last year. I know a lot of us have, but I went through a lot of changes from 2020 till now, like in my personal life. I think I did talk about that a few videos ago, but anyway, I don't know if it's like escapism or just that I really enjoy this game so much, but I was playing, or I have been playing this one game a lot. It's called Stardew Valley. I got hooked into it. So anyway, last week I wanted to just take a break from it completely. So I didn't play it all last week. And I didn't get my comic work done, ironically, even though I like took a week off. So I do think that I like am subconsciously like procrastinating the end. I think maybe because it's been such a long project that I've been working on that it just feels a little bit scary. I don't know, I'm excited to get to the end, but it's at the same time scary to get to the end. So I think part of me has been procrastinating, but I did do some other stuff that was pretty important, which was creating a budget. Hold on a second. Which was actually quite important for me to get done. This is a little bit more important for me to get done. So hopefully I can actually refocus my attention, because next week is interesting. I'm going to be out of town. We're going to get a puppy. What's the word I'm looking for? God willing, everything goes well. We'll be getting our puppy next week, which I believe I've talked about also, because I've been planning it since January. But that's all another thing that feels like I've been planning for a long time, and it's finally like coming about. I feel like I hear noises in my house. I mean, I live in an apartment, so easily it's the neighbors, but I'm hearing some strange noises coming from outside. I don't know what that is. Alright. Anyway. My main character, her hair is in locks. Very loosely styled locks. You might think that I decided that after my own hairstyle. But my character actually had this hairstyle way before me. I created her, or designed her, based off of a dream that I had in 2015. And I've only had my hair like this since 2 years ago. In this scene, my main character, Jaydi, I think I can go thicker now on the brush. She is giving breakfast to her baby sister, who she is now caring for. And let's see. Blah, 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 blah. Where is O3? Don't see my O3 brush. 2, 1. Where is 3? I know I have a 3 somewhere. Oh, there it is. I've been trying to figure out when to use what brushes. I'm just kind of going off of what feels right, kind of. The last couple of scenes I was actually using just the brush pen because I wanted to use a particular color, and that color was only in the brush pen. So I actually inked some of the pages with just the brush pen. And I've been like wondering if that's going to have any effect on like the overall look of the entire book. I'm like, I hope it doesn't look like different too much than like the rest of the pages, but I don't think so. I'm still trying to vary the size and width of the line that I'm using. I do have a topic for today. I just want to talk about what I'm doing for a while before I get into it. I have a couple of things to talk about. I have an important announcement that happened since we last met together. It's an exciting announcement, actually. I need to post it on Instagram. I haven't yet. But I guess I'll be sharing with you guys first what that is. Why do we procrastinate? That's something I should actually talk about. Why do we procrastinate on things that are important to us, that we want to get done? We'll do anything but. I know that I go in circles and I do random stuff. I have like a major issue with procrastination. I do it, but it just takes so long to do it. That's why my comic's not finished yet. I mean, it's moving, but it's just, oh god, if I keep on procrastinating. I kind of drive myself crazy in that sense. Like, you know you can do it. It's a fear though. It's like, what if I fail or something like that? What if I finish and no one likes this thing that I'm doing? Or what if I try to take this drawing class and that's another thing too. I did something, like I said, I worked on my budget last week, and I say like, yeah, I did it, but and I was procrastinating on my comic. I should have been working on my comic, but I was actually procrastinating on my budget for a long time. I didn't want to do that either. So that's not good. But I finally did the budget. But I know I do it sometimes with a lot of things, with more than one thing. Sometimes it's out of the fear of failure, but sometimes I think it's just because I know it's going to take a long time. And I think I'm like afraid of the time it's going to take. And I'm like, but that doesn't make any sense at all. Why would you take longer on something because you're afraid of how long it's going to take? You're just making it take way longer. I wish I didn't have this problem, but I'm hoping that maybe talking about it will tell me to not have this problem anymore. At least like me being here and talking about it is like pushes me to go ahead and work on this so I don't procrastinate anymore. That's a problem sometimes I have. I know I'm not the only one though. I think it was one of like the most gifted artists in my art school. Everybody knew him, everybody loved him because he made like amazing art. What's his name? I'll think of it. Anyway, he's working for Nickelodeon now. And he would always procrastinate. I remember he procrastinated on his thesis up until like 3 months before it was due or something. I mean, to give you like some perspective, most of us start at least a year and a half in advance, and this guy started 3 months before it was due, and just like didn't do color. He just straightforward animation or something all the way through to the end. But he did a really good job. Ben is his name. Very talented guy. But if he procrastinated and still did well, then maybe I can. No, but I really want to kick that. It's a bad habit. It really is. And it's just a habit. And I hear that any habit that you start, you can also break or change. So that's the good thing. You can break any habit that you have and you can change any habit that you have. You just have to consistently do something different enough times in enough order. I mean, I think the formula is like you have to do it 25 days in a row for it to stick, but you can't break even one of those 25 days, because if you do, you have to start over. And some people say you should just go for 30 just to like reinforce it. So 30 days straight in a row doing that thing that you're doing, that new habit that you're trying to make. And the only way to get rid of an old habit is to begin a new habit anyway. So whatever it is, if your habit is not working out, then you have to consistently work out for 30 days straight. If your habit is not inking your comic, you need to consistently ink your comic for 30 days straight and not take any days off. So whatever it is that you're procrastinating on, do it for 30 days in a row and let me know if it works. I can do that too. Even if it's just like for a little bit, even if you only do it for like, let's say, even if you only do it for just like a couple minutes, the fact that you did it another day, that's all it takes to reinforce the habit. Actually, that is how I started live streaming, because I was so afraid of live streaming when I first started this channel. I don't know, I think I shared at least part of this. I must have several times shared at least part of this with you guys, but I was really afraid of live streaming at first. And so like the way I broke out of it, not that I still don't get like, you know, nerves from time to time, but I feel way more comfortable with it and, you know, capable of doing it, because I decided to do it. It was 30-day post a day and it was a challenge to myself, and that's exactly where I got, you know, that's exactly what I was doing at that time. I was using the information that I had learned about breaking habits, and the only way to break a habit is to start a new habit that you do want, that's, you know, opposing to that old habit. And that's how I did it. I just started to say, okay, I'm gonna post every day, and I had like a consequence that if I didn't follow through, I was going to eat like my actual thing was that I was going to eat a piece of chicken, and I you know, been vegan and vegetarian for the last 9 years of my life, and it's been like literally over 9 years since I've eaten meat at this point. But even then, that was a few years ago. But I still said, no, if I don't eat it, if I break my 30-day post today, then I'm gonna eat chicken right here on YouTube. And I actually followed through, because I definitely did not want to eat the chicken. It doesn't sound like a horrible thing, but if you've been not eating meat for as long as I have, then you know that's something that you wouldn't want to do. I say vegan and vegetarian because I've swapped in between, and I was actually pescatarian for a few years before I became like officially vegetarian and then officially vegan. So anyway, I still kind of go back and forth between being vegetarian and vegan because I like to eat cinnamon rolls. I like to eat cinnamon rolls and honey buns because I love sweets, and I also love donuts, and it's hard to find a vegan donut shop sometimes, and it's very hard to find vegan cinnamon rolls, so that's why sometimes I'm vegetarian. Alright, I can't remember what color I did the gate, if I did it with black or if I did it with yellow. So let me see. Let me check. I did do it as... okay. I'm wondering if I should do it orange or if I should... You know what? I'm going to do the gate brown. I think that would be my best bet. Find my brown brush pen. If I should use a ruler, I probably should, just to make sure that I don't flub this up too bad. Hopefully I'm still streaming. Apparently I am. Alright. Let me get a ruler, regular ruler. And I think just to keep it fairly simple, I'll just use it for the top and bottom, because I don't want it to be overly complicated. I've been doing the majority of my backgrounding in brown anyway. Speaking of being vegetarian, vegan, I've been trying to like maintain my healthy lifestyle that I picked up over the pandemic, because I was like really going like in the wrong, just like I got off track over the last couple of years with my health. Well, with my body size, and like I gained a lot of weight, and I was trying to like get healthy over the pandemic, and I was actually using this app. Don't worry, they're not sponsoring this video. It's called Noom, and so I've been using it and been really getting back on a good track. And I actually ended up, losing a good amount of weight over the pandemic. And that app actually helped me a lot to like realize, where I was going wrong in certain places. But at the same time, I just bought like a pack of brownies yesterday. So, I mean, I'm back and forth with that. I be trying like to be healthy. Like, I went running several days last week. I try to at least go 3 to 5 days a week to go run and dance and stuff. But I don't know. I'm always like 2 steps forward, 2 steps back type of girl. I mean, I'm trying to like stay focused, but sometimes I just get off track sometimes. I just gotta keep moving. Anyway, I like Noom. It helps. Speaking of like from me personally, like it's hard for me because I was actually, you guys might not know this about me, but I was actually a pretty chubby kid, and so that definitely affected me a lot, and it really hurt my self-esteem when I was younger, and I had all types of issues when I was a teenager. I went through like eating disorder and everything. Like, you guys don't even know, I went through like so much stuff. But I mean, I managed to work through it little by little. I mean, that body dysmorphia thing, that's like a real thing. It's like no joke. I still go through that. Trying to just slowly continuing it, just acknowledging, sometimes my thoughts about myself or whatever can be distorted, but if you just keep working on it, if I just keep working on it, it can get better. You can kind of overcome that. I don't know that it's necessarily a popular topic, and it's totally not what I was planning to talk about today, but since we're here, why not be, more open about it. But yeah, it's definitely something that I've gone through, and something that I still have to work on. I don't know that anyone ever fully gets over it. I don't know, I'm sure some people do, but I just am not completely through it, but I'm definitely healthier. I see doctors now. I talk to people about health and nutrition. I try to learn, like, what can I learn about nutrition? How can I be healthier and, take positive steps in the right direction? Try to think about things like that. I don't know that necessarily a lot of artists talk about that, but I know that I'm not the only one. There's got to be lots of artists. There's even fewer women in, you know, this field, comics, animation, but these type of problems are just, you know, especially common with us, with women, with girls, with, you know, teens, 20s, 30s. I'm in my 30s now, and I'm still going through it. Some people just say, oh, you get 30, you just don't care anymore, or you hit 40, you hit 50, you hit 60. No, I know that's not necessarily true for everyone, because my mom is in her 60s and she still has body dysmorphia and all that, and still deals with like trying to have a positive outlook and eating healthy. I watched her go through it my entire life and she's about to be 70 and she still is going through it. So I don't know, maybe some people get over it, but I think most of us have to. Once you've like been in the situation, it's something that you probably have to deal with your whole life. Not that that's discouraging, because the good thing is at least we have, you know, each other that we can talk about these sort of things about with. I'm not doing a seminar. This is not a public service announcement. I'm just trying to just let you know if there's something that you're experiencing, then you're not the only one. That's all. Alright, now, what was I going to talk about today? I feel like I totally forgot. I low-key want another cup of coffee, but I already had 2 cups, and I know that that is supposed to be my limit for the day, is 2 cups. Even though yesterday I had 3. I had 2 in the morning, and then I have 1 at night. Doesn't prevent me from sleeping at all. I think I actually sleep better when I have coffee, which is bizarre, but I don't know. It puts me right to sleep. I'm not advising that, by the way. Don't drink coffee as a sleep aid. It's not meant for that at all. And that's definitely not what I do as a sleep aid. I very rarely drink coffee at night. Like I said, I like 2 cups in the morning, and that's it. That's where I like to draw the line. Alright, I'm going to continue inking. Trying to figure out also what color I want to ink my buildings that are close up, because I'm doing all the ones that are in a distance brown, but do I do the ones that are close up brown, or do I do those black? Let me see. Actually have my done several already, so let me check my reference. Alrighty. Looks like I always do my buildings brown and characters black. I kind of like how that looks. I'll do that. I'll do my characters black, do the buildings brown. Looks kind of nice that way. Alrighty. That way, I guess, like, the characters can kind of stand out a little bit better and bolder. You know what, I realized, I think I found my favorite art company. I didn't even realize before that Sakura is the same company that makes the koi watercolors, which are my favorite watercolors. And they also make my favorite pens. So, I'm not being represented by Sakura, obviously. But I do think that they are my favorite art supply company. Who knew? I didn't even know I had a favorite art supply company. other than like Adobe. Prismacolors are nice. A lot of people love like the, what are they called? What are those things called? These pens, Copic. I like Copic, but I don't love Copic. They're nice, but I'm not terribly used to them just yet. I used these more than anything else. I still don't remember what my topic was going to be for the day. I know that like I was going to talk about something and I changed my mind because I didn't want to sound like a tool, but I think I'm going to talk about it anyway and just like kind of say how much of a tool I sounded like. That's the thing. I was wanting to like talk about like, oh, I think it's better that you go to art school, because at the same time, like, there's so many people that are being self-taught and like, oh, it's better to be taught by someone because they push you to learn more. Like a lot of like some self-taught people will say like they just like drawing these one things like portraits or whatever. They never pushed themselves to learn anatomy or. And I stopped myself because I realized it's not necessarily true. You can't really put people in a box like that, like I was doing. Like, you know, just because I'm in student debt doesn't mean everyone wants to be in student debt. I mean, even though it was worth it for me, I don't know. I guess you gotta make your own choice. Because, yeah, it's true. It's harder to be self-taught because you don't know what you don't know, and you know, there's no like plan for you to follow necessarily. Because when you go to art school, everything is kind of planned out, like what you need to learn for this profession, even though they can't teach you everything in 4 years. 4 years is like nothing in comparison to your whole career. I just realized, you know, everybody's gonna have to be on their own journey, because there's some people who are in high school who can, you know, animate better than I ever, you know, thought, you know, ever tried to, and illustrate even. But I don't know. I think it's like sort of more of a case-by-case basis, because there are some people who really can be like self-disciplined and learn for themselves how to do anatomy, how to do face structure, how to do, you know, costume design, and all the things you have to learn to like kind of really get into it. And there's also people that, you know, went to art school who haven't like taken the initiative after that, or like during that, to even be nearly where they could be, or maybe they just weren't even made to do that. And there's some people that go to art school and they weren't really made to be necessarily a visual artist. They're probably better at like, you know, voice acting or writing. And I just realized, you know, who am I to say, like, you know, what's the right path for you? I think you have to decide that on your own. For me, it was going to art school, but for you, I don't know, it could be something else, because there are people I've met who are way more talented than me. I know, because I'm no like Michelangelo, who I just realized his name means actually the angel Michael. I did not know that for my entire life. I just thought it was a long way of saying Michael, but no, it actually means the angel Michael, like Michael the angel. I didn't know that. Anyway, but even like one of my favorite comic artists, if not my most favorite comic artist, his name blanked me for a second, but it's Jason Brubaker. He is self-taught, and clearly he's learned anatomy and, you know, lots of other, you know, cool things like lighting and color and, you know, lots of things that you wouldn't necessarily think you would know from being self-taught. But I know even like fine art painters who are self-taught, who are really good, you know, way better than I ever could dream to be, you know. It might take me who knows how long before I'm at that kind of level, but they're out there. So that's one thing. I guess I just kind of like stopped myself, like, it's not necessarily true, because there's a lot of people who can be self-taught. I mean, there's a lot of people who are not that great, who both, you know, went to school and didn't go to school. So who am I to say? Do what you want to do, man. Figure it out. Even like you know, Steve Silver, who was actually one of my mentors, he didn't even go to art school. So I mean, I don't know. I think you have to know yourself. How self-disciplined are you, and how determined are you? I think that's kind of gonna play its role whether or not you go to art school. I'm thirsty. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna start with this very small one, doing these details over here, because I don't know how small it needs to be. Turn on the fan, it's getting hot. Okay. As you can see with the background, I'm doing multiple colors, like with the trees and the clouds and stuff, just because I want them to look a little bit more painterly, I guess, or more like, I don't know, a little bit more on the fine art side. But with the characters, I'm just going to be going in with black. The only part that I'm going to really use like colored ink is to do their patterns, which I'll be able to show you in a few minutes. I'm actually working with actual conga patterns. Conga patterns are like a pattern that's popular in, not just in Kenya, but in the Swahili coast in general. So Kenya, Tanzania, it's all popular. Like, apparently they used to be like status symbols, and they all have these little sayings in Swahili that mean different things. So some of them I'm gonna be putting little subliminal messages in there. Just a few of them. I'll be right back. So I'm going to be adding patterns actually to my main character here, to her conga. But first I'm just going to finish doing all that. I want to finish doing all of the outline before I go in and do the patterns. It's because it just gives me a nice order to do things a little bit better. But you can see like all this stuff takes time. This is the thinnest marker I have. I know this is all in real time and it goes really slow. And I know there's a lot of YouTubers and the like that do like a fast forwarded version. Even some of my favorite artists that sometimes do like the fast forwarded versions, but I always personally prefer like real time. It makes more sense to me, and I guess that's going to be a personal preference for you, but for me it just, I get to actually see how it works. And I also like to watch it while I'm working, so that I can go back and forth between watching it and doing my own, which I don't know if that's the thing that you might want to do, but I assume if you're on this channel you probably, because I always do it real time. I think I've done like one video that was like of the Moana painting, where like I did a fast forward of the whole thing, but I really prefer to do live stream in real time. Just, there's no right or wrong way, obviously, but I prefer when I'm watching to watch real time, even though it is, of course, illustrating takes hours. But the good thing is, YouTube does have like fast forward buttons, so after this is up on there, if you want to watch it faster, you can. Alright. I'm trying to think too, like, how can I tell my story without being like, not that I'm thinking about it now. Oh yeah, there was like an announcement that I wanted to make, but I'll get to that in the same sense. Alright, so then let me tell you first, I guess, about the announcement, which was that Child Fund, the organization, they're a non-profit who do work with children, obviously, funding children, but it's like a children's sponsorship program where they do that, and they do emergency relief, and they also do like what do they have? They have COVID response and stuff like that for, but it basically is for children in impoverished communities around the world. And I've been supporting them for a few years, and I've done a couple of fundraisers like on my Facebook and stuff for them. And they actually reached out to me, which was interesting because I never had a charity reach out to me before. But they actually said, you know, hey, we're doing this Member Appreciation Month, and we like what you're doing. You know, would you be interested in being interviewed? And I said, of course. Of course I'll be interested in being interviewed. That sounds amazing. So they actually asked me about my artwork, how I got involved with them, all that stuff. But really, what I really wanted to get to, I totally forgot my train of thought now. What was I even going to say? I don't even remember. I'll get there. I'll get there. I take my time sometimes, but I'll get there. God, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, now I remember. You know, they talked about, you know, not only me, but like, they also were, you know, talked about my project a little bit. And that makes me happy, but at the same time that makes me nervous, because I'm like, my story is almost, it starts off, or it actually is almost a tragedy. It's not like a happy-go-lucky fairy tale story where everything is fine and peachy. It's like, it's scary at sometimes. It's, you know, it deals with trauma. And I don't want anyone to get the wrong impression of thinking they're getting one thing and they're getting something else. You know, I don't want to mislead anyone is the word. It's true, my story is, I'm making this, the whole reason why I started making this whole book is like to contribute, and I'm hoping that, you know, with these funds that I can hopefully generate through this project, I'll be able to sponsor more girls in Kenya and do more outreach in that area. And eventually, is my real big dream, is to open an art school overseas. And that's a huge dream, but I believe that, you know, with the right intentions and with the right people, it can happen. Because I think that, you know, so many things are bigger than us, but if we kind of, you know, put our trust in the right places, stuff can happen. Like, great things can happen. I definitely believe that. But, you know, with that being said, it sounds, you know, when people don't know me and they just hear certain, like, tidbits of what I'm doing, like, you know, I'm contributing and I'm wanting to, you know, use this story sort of as a platform to do more outreach. I don't want people to get the wrong idea and just think that it's a, like I said, a happy-go-lucky fairy tale, because it's not. It's a lot of tragedy in the story, and a lot of, you know, difficult conversation within the story. Like, a lot of it is about colonization and the effects that it has had on, you know, this area of the world. So I want people to understand, at the same time, it is a comic book and it's meant to be entertaining, but I also want to shed light on different areas and kind of make it feel real to me. So that's why I also want to share and continuously, you know, point out that, you know, this is a story, and it does, you know, it's not a tragedy as in, you know, it's never meant for the hero's downfall. It's more like of a personal story of one person's, albeit it's a fiction, it's about one person's journey, or like, what is it called? It's a growth story, really. It's a story of growth and transformation. So I don't know, hopefully that all comes across, because when I was, after the interview, like, the lady, she hadn't really asked me what the actual story was about, and she had put in the article, like, you know, she writes fiction on, like, a young girl's adventures in Kenya. And I had to tell her, hey, I love the article, but that's definitely not what my story's about. It's not about a young girl's adventures in Kenya or East Africa. It's actually, you know, something else. So I had to sometimes clarify, but I just want to make it clear, you know, try to find ways to, like, just, you know, say that. But in another way, I'm, like, really, really grateful to have been chosen by this organization, because I really love this charity, and I'm really honored that they chose to interview me. And I hope I can do something like that again with other, you know, places and platforms and stuff like that. But I will include the link in my description. Let me see. Put a note there, include the link to fund a 1 for subscription. Alright, so I made a note to myself. That way I can actually remember. To make sure that I put the note in there. That link. Alright. We're getting there little by little. Move up to a thicker pen. I change the color every so often just because I wanted to like of the background, even though it's not necessarily like a literal color. It's more like based on mood. I know that films do this a lot, especially you can see it in cartoons, like the background will suddenly change color or whatever. It's really just about the mood. It's meant to be subtle, hopefully not too obvious, but just kind of like a change or split second of a mood or something like that. In this moment she got scared based on that crack and all. So she's a jumpy character at first. She kind of is like, you know, I think I will go ahead and darken her clothes, because now that I put the black on, sometimes you don't even realize till you go ahead and add more color. But yeah, now that I'm looking at her, I'm gonna go ahead and add some more color. It's not quite as purple as I need it to be. Her conga here, it's really supposed to be purple. Not deep purple, but like a lavender. It's looking too pale now that I see it with the black outline. Just gonna add another layer of watercolor with that. I'll have to wait for it to dry completely before I put the pattern on top of the marker. I'm also going to add another coat of color to her sister, because her sister's looking a little bit pale, and that's definitely not the right complexion that I have for her. So I'll have to edit that. Okay. Put the fan on there. Too much color the first time. Let's see. Go ahead and go around and just add that color. The whole thing is looking like, once you put the black ink on there, you can really see where things are too pale. So I'm just going to go around different areas and darken up what needs to be darkened up. And her eyes are lighter than they ought to be. It's the thing with watercolor though, sometimes it's so transparent that sometimes you really need a few coats on there to get it to be the right color. Especially if you work thin like I do with paint. Or like I often do with paint, I should say. Especially watercolor. I like to like just lay it on thin at first. See some spots on her that I could certainly afford to darken up. Hopefully that I don't drown it out though. Definitely want her skin to be the color I want it to be, which is a nice chocolatey brown. So there are a lot of pages that I realize I need to like go over with watercolor, so that's why I have my watercolors ready to go when I'm doing these inkings, because a lot of these need another coat and I didn't realize it before. I didn't see it initially. And it's only when you add, sometimes it's only when you add that black ink you see, oh, it's still not the right color that I'm looking for. Let that dry for a moment. Oops. And just hope that I don't mess it up. Oh, it's a scary thing though. It's like, oh, please don't mess it up when you're going back over it. It's scary. Quite scary. Make sure that I know there's a couple of other things I wanted to talk about. Hopefully I can actually remember. Let's see. Well, this one is still drying on this layer. Go ahead and grab my next page so we can get started on that. But hold on, let me add a little bit of color to this girl's lips. Dang. Mess it up. Okay, I think that's all right, but let me see. suppose that should work for now. Oh, this is an important page. Eek. Very important page. This is the introduction of Bendalli, my main character's little brother, who also plays a very important role in this story. So I'm gonna go ahead and start this. Oh, my sweater's choking me for some reason. Let's start with a small brush. And this one feels kind of thick. I know this is the smallest brush I have. Maybe I should go in with the brush tool, with the brush brush. I don't know that I'd be able to get it even much thinner though. Yeah, this part is like hyper focus mode. Thin lines. Super thin. This kid's wearing a hat. Let's see. Even I gotta be like, you know, kind of picky about what I actually ink in, because all the details can't even be there just because it's so small. These kids are like, you know, sort of like the brother's bad influence friends. They're kind of rowdy, wild street kids. A lot like the boys I used to know in my neighborhood back in New York. I mean, I feel like even though I grew up in New York, it wasn't really it wasn't really New York, you know. I mean, it was, but it's such another place because none of my friends were American, like none. Everyone was Haitian, Trinidadian, something. Even in high school, like, my friends are like Italian, Puerto Rican, Guyanese, Trinidadian again, Haitian again. It still was like, I don't know, even though it was America, it was not really. Our experience was different in the part of New York that I grew up in. Which was, you know, in and around Flatbush. So, I don't know, in a way, it makes me feel like more related. Like, I can understand the story a little bit better, because I did draw a lot of my inspiration from my own experiences, you know, being in New York, which really didn't feel like it was part of the United States. It felt like it was someplace else, because everybody was from someplace else. And even my own grandma, you know, was from Barbados, and I've been to the country many times as a kid growing up, and just seeing what life was like over there, how people lived, how kids played and everything. It's very different than what I see now in other parts of the US. But I use that experience as inspiration for me for this story. Just the way the culture is different. And even as I've, like, you know, been with my husband over the last 10 years, and, you know, seeing how his culture is, seeing how people live on, you know, the reservations here, you know, it reminds me that we're not so different after all, because, you know, they very much remind me of places I've been to in Barbados and stuff like that. Haven't been to Kenya yet. I was going to go there last June, and then COVID happened, so hopefully I can go this year. There's a group of people who I've been involved with over this last couple of years with this project, who are going to be going this October, so, you know, God willing, I can go. I really hope so. Alright, I think I'll actually bite the bullet and start on Bendalli. I'll do his less important details first, just to give me a little bit less, you know, about it. I just love his little swagger. I got so many different, like, inspirations for this guy. I mean, big one is my son. He doesn't have this, I don't know, maybe he does in a way, have this sort of swagger about him, but I don't know, it's just the sweetness. I think the sort of person within the person, I think, is really what I took from my son. And other than that, I was really inspired by a lot of, oh dang, I hope I didn't mess that up. Actually, music videos that I've seen. Music videos that show these little boys this age who can dance their butts off, and it really inspired me to make a character that had that sort of liveliness to them that this guy has. I'll have to fix that in Photoshop. So, I mean, thank God for Photoshop, because who knows where we would be as a community if we didn't have Photoshop. I love the look that he has. I actually imported in this image from his actual character design sheet that I had created, and I just loved the look that he had on his face so much that I'm like, I have to use this in the comic. And I decided to use it as his introduction when he walks into the scene. It's a full page. He's right there in the foreground. I'm gonna have to fix it still. I messed up. I'm hoping I'll still be able to fix it in Photoshop. Alright. There's a couple of spots I see that aren't perfect like I would like them to be, so I'm gonna have to try and fix them. Hopefully I can without too much of an issue. It's alright, I'll just fix the coloring. Aspect of it in Photoshop. But thank God for that white brush, because that really helps me a lot. At least to take out the parts that I don't want. That girl, or princess, I don't know what she is. The Raya girl. She reminds me of like Alita or something. She looks like an R&B singer that I've seen in my childhood. She definitely looks like she has some color in her. Like myself, which is always nice to see in movies. I'm glad that Disney is getting more diverse though. It's about time. Took long enough. Oh, he has this scar on his arm. I think I'll do that in brown because I want it to show and be, you know, prominent, but not like overly prominent. He has his hand closed because he's holding something important to the story, and you'll see. It's a tear in his shirt because he doesn't have a lot of money for new clothes. These are his street clothes. But I wanted to be still, like, you know, mindful of the colors, and I actually used colors from these wild birds for this family, for the whole Juma family, which is Jaydi's family, my main character. I wanted to, you know, I'd seen different things on character design, and I take little, you know, tidbits of advice where I can here and there. And where I got the idea for just coloring was actually from this bird. I'll have to pull it up to actually show you the particular bird I used. But for him, for Jaydi, and for the grandma, Bibi, I'll have to show you guys the actual inspiration. Which original title that I had for this story was Inspiration from Kenya. That was the first title that I had, which I decided to just use as the first art project, because I've done a few art projects based on this story before I knew it was going to be a comic. But then I realized that I was going to use a fictional country based on Kenya, not actually Kenya, so I changed the title. And it's been Jaydi's story. Officially, the full title is Jaydi's Story, Tales from a Diasporan, which I'm not sure if you know what diaspora means, but it's basically people taken from their homeland. And so the diasporan is not Jaydi, the diasporan is actually me. She's not taken from her homeland, it's just me reaching out to the homeland that I was taken from. Alright, not bad, not bad, not bad. It still doesn't even feel like I'm using a 005. I mean, it still feels like it's thick, but it's not. It's pretty thin. As thin as it's gonna get, basically. I'm glad I didn't start with the 01 for this page. And keep moving that brush around. Alright. But you see, like that white pen, even though it's like, you know, kind of standing out now, I'll be able to remove those white lines in Photoshop. But it just helps me to get a clear, oh, it's really a lifesaver. It helps me to really get rid of the lines that I don't want, that I've made on the page. I didn't even realize that I would be able to use it like that. And if I was a good YouTuber, I would put a link for it in the description, so I'll try to remember to do that consistently, put my links. So let me see. Products used. I'll give you guys the paper that I use and everything. I have no issue with that. The paper I use is actually Canson watercolor paper. Try to find this is the paper I use, the XL by specifically watercolor by Canson. Those are the, and you see it's 140 pounds. That's what I use. Canson is the best for me in terms of paper. I really like their watercolor paper a lot. It comes out best that I can get it to be with my limited abilities. Alright, I think I'm done with blacking for this page. Everything else that I do is going to be color ink. Putting these leaves over here. I'm going to put a couple of sprigs of like green leaves here and there. most of the leaves I do will be brown. I'll still put a couple of green ones in there. I can add a little tiny bit of highlight to his eye with this, which I would like to do. I don't know if it's... That's a little bit. That's nice. I think this is my older brush. I have another brown brush. Let me see. And I wanted to change the shape of the bottom of this because it's actually like a tin roof. Most of these are going to be tin roofs. That's very common material used, and I've seen a lot of those in when I was in Barbados, a lot of the houses are made with tin roofs. In buildings in like the, you know, the neighborhoods. It's like a less expensive material, which keeps the rain out, but not necessarily the elements, you know. It's not really the best quality that you would want a roof made out of. But sometimes it's all you have. Yeah, I think I like the look of this brown ink better for the background elements. But I wonder if I should use the newer. Let me see how much thinner line I can get with the newer brush. Let me see. Yeah, it is way sharper. You can already see the edge. Ooh, that's nice. Very nice. Okay. Let's see what else. I remember the first time like I started my website. Somebody put like you suck or something in the comments. I just thought that, I don't know why I just randomly thought of that right now. But that's what we kind of risk when we put ourselves out there to be online, you know, to expose ourselves. I don't know why I randomly thought of that right now. That was just me years ago, but I don't know. I think since then I'm just like, whatever. You know, I guess I'm doing something cool because I have my first hater. And I would advise you to take that same notion if you ever feel worried or anxious about putting your artworks on the interwebs or anything personal, really. I don't know that there's much in this life that is more personal to us than our artwork. So hopefully it doesn't suck. And if it does, then oh well. It's the best I can do right now. Maybe in some years I'll be better. Maybe not. Who knows? This is cool. I'm liking how this page is coming out little by little. It made me realize, you know, it's not so much to be afraid of at all, or after all. Just gotta start. It's like what I was talking about earlier in this video about procrastinating, not wanting to fail so you don't even start. But cliche, the only failure we have is by not starting at all, right? Because once we actually get going, it's not so bad. Not so bad at all. I actually think I got another. Actually, you see, I'm so worried about using up my supplies and all that. But I think I even have a whole other set because I know I ordered several. And I bought some in person at Michael's. Which I never go to Michael's. I like Hobby Lobby, but I did get a Michael's gift card. So I wanted to use it and got markers. But I also ordered these online, so I have a whole other set. So I shouldn't be worried about not having enough, because I have plenty. I also got these on Amazon, which they offer as like a prescription where they keep coming every couple months. So that's what I got. Alright. Keep going with this wood pattern. Tomorrow I'll be at the zoo. LA Zoo. If you're in the area, you'd like to join me. You might be able to RSVP, but you do have to check on the LA Zoo website and see. It's probably sold out by now for the 10 a.m. slot, but you can always check. Or you can just go to wherever your local zoo is at whatever time you want and just sketch, because, oh dang, covered his arm. Oh well. Photoshop. I have to Photoshop that out. And now that I'm looking, I missed his whole arm over here. That's the one thing I realized too with inking is I'll forget whole parts. And I didn't realize until much later. If I notice at all, hopefully I do catch them. At least most of them anyway. The areas that I forget to ink in. Almost done with this page. Couple more stuffs. Adding in my little dirt spots. Give it a little bit of texture to the ground. I will probably add more texture in Photoshop once I get to that section, but I want to add definitely more texture to different pages, but we'll see. ahead and alright, so this page is just about done. Let me add my cloud lines. I like to use pink outline for the cloud because it looks pretty, at least in the morning light. That's what I've been doing. Okay, and I like to use this brush, which is a Faber-Castell pen. I like to use this one for my outline. And to show you guys the cool, this Westcott ruler that has the core on the back, keeps it from slipping. Towel I was using for wiping off the edges. I can't find it, but I'll use a different one for now. So you do have to wipe off your ruler every time after you use it because it keeps, there's like the ink residue and you don't want to like to smudge your picture. And I just realized I missed a spot too. Definitely recommend looking at your comic page, wherever you're working on, at least a little bit after a day or two, so you'll see stuff you missed. I do all the time. So I miss stuff all the time and I don't realize it right away. You have to give your eyes a rest and then you notice all your mistakes. Okay. And the part that I missed was on the roof. This tin roof where I need to go ahead and do my lines. And I do want to add like discoloration to certain spots. I will do that. I want certain things to look worn, to look older. So I'll go in with the Copic marker and do stuff like that also. Alrighty, I think that's just about it. Probably add any other details as I see them. I think that's about it for this page. Alright, back to my last page, and I think we'll be done for today. Alrighty. I need to add my patterns to Jaydi. Back to this page. Make sure I didn't miss anything like I did with my last one. Don't see anything that stands out right away. That's good. Okay, I think we can go ahead in with her colors for her kanga. I'll use 3 different colors for her kanga. These are them. This is like the main one. I like to use this. I never used them like regularly before, but I found that I like it for this. And we can just pattern for her kanga. I decided whether or not I want to give her sister any pattern. I think I want to give her sister something, just to, so she's not so plain. So I do that pattern. Jaydi's pattern is the one right here. And these little flowers around it. It's basically like a floral pattern. Didn't do it over here. And just this one is for just the bottom, which usually there's like a bigger pattern at the bottom with the kangas. Then I go in with the purple brush and actually put in the detail with this. Nice, right? Nice little like detail. It's kind of fun. I know it's an extra like tedious task to do, but it's kind of fun. It's like a, I don't know, this part is a little bit relaxing or something. I'm sure you guys can actually see what I'm doing. I just wanted it to feel more authentic. That's why I added these patterns, which are, you know, reflective of what many people wear. in the culture. And they'll have different ones that come in all different colors and stuff. Really hope I can go out there and actually pick up some fabrics, you know. That'd be really nice. Her sister, I don't know about a pattern for her sister yet. I have to think about that. I'm not sure if I want her sister to have a pattern. I think I do, but I don't know what yet. So I'll just leave it blank for now until I can think about it more. And let's go ahead and ink the borders. Almost there. Okay, last line. Nice. All right, so we were able to accomplish one spread, but that's what it takes to do one spread, guys. Let's do them side by side. Okay. Oops. And that's one spread, guys. Alrighty. Ah, I knew I'm upside down. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for being a part of this live stream. I'll be back in 2 weeks. No, I will be back. I'm going to be out of town the 14th and the 21st. I will be back on the 28th. Oh man, I'm going to have to figure that out. Anyway, so keep updated on my website. I have to put it on my website. I know it's going to be on the meetup. and on my Facebook and Instagram, and I will let you guys know when I'll be back, okay? But thank you so much for tuning in. This has been Making a Graphic Novel, and I am Alicia Dianne, and I will see you guys next time. But until then, be grateful, live balanced, and be yourself.